This amazing story unfolded in Canada. Upon returning home after a successful day of fishing, Sean decided to take a shortcut through the bushes instead of following the usual path. It was at that moment that he experienced the biggest scare of his life. Just a few meters off the trail, he suddenly came face to face with a massive black bear. The bear was so close that he could discern the movement of its nose as it breathed. Keeping calm and following his training, Sean raised his arms to appear more imposing and less like potential prey. The bear, in turn, stood on its hind legs and sniffed Sean, initially presenting an imminent threat. However, surprisingly, the bear sat down and began to whimper, moving away a bit. The situation was frightening, but the bear's painful whimpers motivated Sean to investigate. Observing cuts on the flank and a wounded front paw, Sean realized that the bear was injured. Despite the apparent threat, the bear did not pose danger. On the contrary, it seemed disheartened. Sean recalled the previous morning, when he had spotted a mother bear with her cub on the other side of the river. Soon, he understood that this was likely the same bear. Concern for the missing cub prompted Sean to act. The mother bear indicated the direction, and accompanied by Sean, she headed to the river. At the riverbank, Sean frantically searched for the cub, with the mother bear still following him attentively. However, he did not immediately spot the cub until a dark head emerged from the water. Focusing on the spot, Sean saw the cub's head appearing again, seeming to be stuck to a rock. The water flowed over the cub, whose strength was reaching its limit. Sean suspected that the mother bear had tried to save her cub in vain, resulting in her injuries. Realizing that he couldn't resolve the situation alone, the mother bear sought help and found Sean. Sean realized he couldn't allow the bear cub to drown before his eyes. Aware of the strength and danger of the current in that part of the river, he recognized that entering without preparation would be a life-threatening mistake. So, he quickly devised a plan. Grabbing his fishing gear, Sean took the rope usually used in his fish basket. He tightly tied the rope around his waist, leaving a long piece in front of him. He then securely fastened the other end of the rope to a tree on the riverbank before decisively jumping into the water. The current proved stronger than he had anticipated, but Sean, with his experience as a former Navy SEAL, used all his strength to make his way to the rocks where he had last seen the bear cub. A less experienced swimmer might have struggled to survive in those violent currents. Approaching the rocks, Sean held on to survey the exact location of the cub. Meanwhile, on the shore, the mother bear growled and whimpered, visibly worried, pacing frantically back and forth. Aware of the danger in the water, she seemed to realize that venturing in again would be risky. Sean, breathing heavily and disoriented, faced additional challenges due to the high tide and constant floods. However, his joy was immense when he saw the head of the bear cub emerge in front of him. Now, his next step would be to swim downstream to reach the cub. In a tragic moment, the bear cub lost control of the rocks and was swept away by the current. Its head disappeared into the dark water in an instant. Without hesitation, Sean jumped after it, swimming with all his might. He knew that losing the bear cub at this moment could mean losing it forever. The little bear sank, seemingly no longer struggling. The situation seemed desperate, but Sean tirelessly fought, swimming after the bear cub. However, the rope tied around his waist kept stretching, reaching its limit. When the cub's head reappeared, Sean grabbed it in time, fearing a possible aggressive reaction from the little bear. Surprisingly, the bear remained motionless in his arms. However, it was now time to return to the safety of the shore. Needing both arms to swim, Sean retrieved the discarded piece of rope and tied it to the cub. The cub's immobility made transportation easier, but also presented a dilemma. Sean's concern was palpable as energy began to deplete, driven only by adrenaline. Suddenly, his feet touched the bottom, indicating shallow waters. Sean picked up the bear cub and exited the water, only to be confronted by the approaching mother bear. Aware that he needed to untie the rope before the mother reached them, Sean had no time to examine the cub before the mother bear grabbed it. However, as they walked toward the forest, the mother bear began to sway dangerously and then collapsed on the ground. The cub crawled over her, but she remained motionless. Shaun, approaching, realized the severity of the cuts, the damage more serious than he had imagined. Adrenaline seemingly kept the mother moving, but now, with her cub safe, she had collapsed. A sense of helplessness overcame Shaun as he realized he had rescued the cub only to see it become an orphan before his eyes. With no cell phone signal and no time to walk back, Shaun faced a desperate situation. At this critical moment, something unexpected happened. He heard the sound of a truck in the distance. Yelling loudly, loggers and hikers who had witnessed him saving the cub ran to help. They alerted forest rangers, who quickly arrived at the scene with a large crate. While the mother bear remained unresponsive, the rescue team carefully bandaged her wounds and placed her in the crate. The two bears were taken to the nearest wildlife clinic for professional care. The mother bear needed emergency surgery due to infections, while the still weak cub was kept in rest to recover. Intensive efforts to restore the mother's health paid off, especially with the comforting presence of her cub. After a period of recovery, both were ready to return to the forest, their true home. The moment of release was moving, with the mother bear immediately running towards the forest and the cub hesitating for a moment before following. Shaun, emotional, felt a mix of pride for having saved this little family, although sadness lingered knowing he would likely never see them again. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel.